I'm thinking that nature has a specific ability. It's more evocative of these kinds of experiences for some reason. And if
Mm.
that's true, how does nature have that power for us?
I wouldn't confine these type of experiences to nature. I think we
Mm.
can also experience them in man-made environments and in art. Maybe it's a question of accessibility because sometimes the layers of culture and meaning that are on top of man-made things and on art, people have been kind of somehow made to understand that they need to know so much about art and they need to be able to have the right interpretation of art or something like that.
Yeah.
And I would really love it if people could approach art in the same way as they maybe have the freedom to do in nature. There's no one asking you to interpret nature in the correct way. We have this absolute freedom of interpretation, or there isn't even any pressure to interpret anything. You can just allow yourself to be there. But also maybe it's just to do with that we are natural beings as bodies, something that is deeply ingrained in us through the ages to have this kind of responsiveness.
Often it's beyond our control. If you walk through the woods, you can't start weeding the woods.
Yeah.
There's far too much there. And maybe that there's something quite liberating in thinking, I can't control this, therefore I'm allowed to be here.
There's no need for me to do anything here somehow.
Yeah.
Landscape is, you know, its environment when perceived aesthetically, when perceived, when you
Mhm.
are really taking in, okay, I'm a part of this. We don't use this word when we are projecting our own meaning on it. We use it when we are talking about being in this receptive mode, being a part of something.
When you're talking, I'm immediately imagining walking my dog out in the fields and how that landscape changes, really changes the way I could say changes the way I experience myself, but maybe it changes the way I am
Mhm.
in response to that. It's not just visual, it's the feeling of space and the feeling of the ground and the lack of trees and all of that. It makes me wonder a little bit if landscape has this kind of interactive role in our development
Mhm.
as we develop physically and psychologically, if the landscape is in there. As children, if you grow up in a particular, or the earth looks a particular way, and you interact with that part of the earth, if it is actually structured into you.
Like Gentlin said, body is environment. There is no separation. So of course we are our environments, and the environments that we are in, they shape us. And
Yeah.
that's why also we talked about environmental aesthetics and how it emphasizes the importance of having the opportunity to experience beauty in natural environments.
Mhm.
But it also has this way of acknowledging and making us aware of how important it is that we design environments, the human-made environments that
Yeah.
we are in. We need to really carefully design them for people to flourish in them and
Yeah.
not to shut down.
That is so interesting. So it's not just that people coming down from the glacier care more about the environment because they feel it
Mhm.
rather than they're lectured about it.
Mhm.
It's also that that feeling is a guide to the kind of environment that is more flourishing for human existence. We could, for example, ask ourselves, what would the city look like if it felt like this?
Mhm. Yeah.
And see how the design flows from that.
Yeah, 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 exactly.
My own research was, as I said before, on home.
Yeah.
And one thing that I found that I could never quite answer, sometimes people leave their homes because they never really felt at home there.
Mm.
So people can have all sorts of responses to their home. Not everyone loves their home and feels welcome. However, it did seem from the people I spoke to that everyone cannot shake their first environmental place, their place of origin retains some special significance.
Maybe we are more open to that as children.
Yes.
As children, we're just constantly aesthetically experiencing the world. So we're kind of taking it in so much through aesthetic experiences and repetitive aesthetic experiences. We start having a very strong relation to a place. It becomes a part of us. I've interviewed people about their relation to a landscape that potentially will be altered. And people have described it as, it's like losing a part of myself. It's like take off my arm. So I think that in our early childhood, we are so even more deeply open to kind of let the environment become part of us, that connection just is there.